Hey everybody, it's Christy. I just wanted to have a chance and sit down and talk with you today. I received some questions on my subscription feed from some of the subscribers. Thank you so much for your comments and your questions. Just in general, some friends that I've spoken with or family members and of the like. So I just thought this would be a good opportunity to sit down and kind of touch base and address some of those questions that I've been getting. So kind of hanging out with me, my hair's all up in a scrunchie, and I'm just chilling with my, what is this thing called? An icy? I haven't had one of those in a long time, so I stopped and got myself a treat today. But yeah, I just wanted to hang out and kind of answer some of the questions that you guys have been asking me, and hopefully it helps you. I'm obviously not an expert by any means. I'm not medically trained. I'm not a psychologist or a psychiatrist. These are just some things that have worked for me or things that I've observed from my situation have helped. Hopefully they can help you, and if you have any additional ideas, please put them in the comments below so that any and everybody can read those and we can all help each other. To kind of start off, I have some friends from my lovely subscriber, Jules H. She gave me an idea for another video. I'm not sure if that will post before or after this one, but just kind of devices and things that have helped day to day. So in addition to that, she also posted some additional questions that I thought were really good and relevant to probably all of our situations. So the first one was, how do friends cope? Do they see you or treat you differently as you're not able to keep arrangements made? If your fatigue kicks in, or are they accepting this? And I would say personally for me, I am so blessed that my support network for my friends and family has been amazing. Everybody's kind of kicked in, and a lot of them, I think, have done research on their own, but they've all been so supportive of the times that I've needed to kind of just say no to things and to dial back. Actually, kind of on the flip side of that, I still tend to push myself a little bit too much sometimes. So they're often the ones that are encouraging me to kind of slow down and back off. I feel like if I had friends or family members or people in my support system that weren't as supportive of that or would get upset if I had to cancel plans or something like that. I'm kind of a person who has limited friendships anyway, because I don't often let that many people in as close. But if I would have those, I would start evaluating those relationships and just thinking, where's the root of this coming from? Is it have I been somebody that's canceled on them before, or are they just irritated, or was it things that were really important to them, so that maybe if I just reschedule if possible, if that would help. But I've also been thinking that maybe it's just an education thing. If you've read anything about the spoon theory, I forgot the gal that really first came up with that, but she sat somebody down and talked to them and set out so many spoons, maybe 12 spoons, and explained to them every day she has 12 spoons to spend or to use throughout the day. And if she takes the dogs for a walk, it takes 3 of those spoons away. So now she only has 9. And if she has to go to work, that's going to take 5. So she only has 4 left for the rest of her day. And so it really helped her explain to her friend or whoever she was sitting with that, we only have so much we can do in any one given day. And sometimes that education is the best approach. So maybe try that. If that still doesn't work, maybe try to have a conversation with your friend another way. Or if you feel like it's something that you're just battling with right now, you're battling with your pain or your fatigue or something like that, maybe don't commit to anything until you know for sure that day that you're going to have the energy and the whereabouts to be able to do something. That way you're not really setting yourself or anybody else for expectations that you can't live up to. Just some ideas. I'm not sure if that helps or not. Have any friends drifted away because of it? I personally haven't had that. I would be really sad if something like that did happen. I do think, though, I'm a firm believer that people come into your life when they're supposed to, and that it's okay to not be as good of friends with somebody before. That doesn't mean that you wish them well or wish them bad in their life, because of course you wish them well with their life. It just means that the needs that you both had for that relationship are no longer synonymous. They no longer are needed. So I think it's okay to come in and out of friendships and not beat yourself or them up about it. We all have different paths in life and journeys, and not everybody that we know is going to be along with us for the entire ride. Even though you still have a close support network, do you have times you still feel really lonely, just wishing you would have your life back the way it was, not the way it is now? I think that's very spot on. It's actually a really good question. I think early on in my diagnosis, I really did feel that way. I really felt like I didn't have anybody to connect with, and it was, I'm the kind of person where if something's happening to me, it's kind of all consuming, and it encompasses all of my thoughts, and everything I think about is directed to that. If I buy a new car, is it going to, satisfy what I need for my RA and those types of things? So I do think that I had a lot of that probably at the very beginning of my diagnosis, and probably through the first year or two, just kind of getting used to the fact that my life was no longer going to be the same. I had the option to make it as great as it had ever been, or maybe even better, now that I have this realization that life is short and I need to live for things, and make the best of every situation, even if I'm not feeling like it, if I don't feel like being happy and doing those kinds of things. So yeah, I remember feeling really lonely. I remember feeling like nobody really understood, even though my friends and family were amazing and they tried their best to understand, to be able to connect with somebody who has the same thing that you have, to go through that same kind of journey together and talk about it. I felt like was something that really made me lonely at the beginning. And in part, that's a large part of why I started this YouTube channel and why I started my blog. There were some videos out there on YouTube, but I really didn't feel like I had a face or somebody to connect to. So maybe some of you can meet through the comments section and support each other. I think it's really important to develop that sense of community. Her last question was, how has having RA taught you to manage with all the changes? I think for me personally, it's really taught me to slow down. I used to have a to-do list of a million things to do every day, and I'd get mad at myself if I didn't get them all done. And it also taught me not to expect so much of myself. I would expect myself to get through that entire to-do list, and like I said, I'd beat myself up if I didn't. And it also taught me finally that I need to lean on others for help. That's not something I'm very good at. I'm very independent. Just by nature, I don't feel good about having to inconvenience somebody to help me with something. They've got their own lives to live. So it's really hard for me to ask for help. In my personal life and business, that's another thing. But in my personal life, it's really hard for me to feel like I'm inconveniencing somebody else in order to get benefit somehow myself. So I've really had to learn those things, to slow down, not to expect so much of myself, to lean on others for help, and also to live every day. I've worked in oncology for a lot of years, and those patients that you meet and you work with teach you those things. But I don't think that you really ever come to terms with that in your own mind until you face something. What I have is not a terminal illness, but it is something that I take medication for every day. I think about the jars that I buy at the grocery store, so it's constantly kind of mulling in the back of my mind, and that could get you down really easily, or it could just be something that becomes part of your everyday, and you just realize it doesn't matter what you have. It really doesn't. I'm given so many days, and I'm given so many blessings and so many challenges each day. It's really how I handle those. This is my own personal belief. It's how I handle those that dictate whether I have a great life or not. So that's what I try to work towards every day. I've also been asked about anger. If I've had anger, problems with anger, anger about being diagnosed, anger about not being able to do everything that I used to do before. I used to love to run, and it's just not possible for me to run anymore. It's way too hard on my feet. If I'm angry about those kinds of things, and I would say that for the most part now, I am not angry anymore. However, there was a point where I was very angry. I was very angry that my life was changing, that I had to consider and dictate when I could have kids and what medications might impact that and not, and just the way that my day-to-day life was changing. There are areas where I really did feel angry. What I would say to that is try to find a way to manage your anger in a healthy way. Try to find an outlet where you could get that anger out, if it's working out, or if it's reading a book, or listening to a certain kind of music, just so you get that out, so you're not projecting that onto others. I think it's inevitable that will come up in your support structure, but it's kind of our responsibility to make sure that we are managing that. And the other thing I would say is that you have to allow yourself those feelings. It's okay to not be okay. That's one of my newest favorite songs. It's okay to not be okay. It's okay to be angry. It's okay to be sad, to be mad, and it's even okay to be happy sometimes. I think I kind of correlate being diagnosed with a chronic illness to the grief curve that you hear people go through when they lose somebody in their family, member of their family or something like that. There are stages of grief, and part of that is you are grieving the loss of the life you knew before, the life without limitation, the life without any obstacles in your path. You could really do anything. And now you have to sit back and you have to really think if the things that you're doing are healthy for you. It's okay to feel those feelings, but it's also our responsibility to try to find an outlet to manage them. Seek professional help. There's nothing wrong with going to see a counselor. They're an unbiased person, and it could alleviate some of that communication and weight off of your support structure. That way they can be there to help support you, and they're not your everything in terms of your support structure. Check into whether you can afford or get some kind of professional help too. Like I said, they're an unbiased party, so I do think that is an important resource. I've also been asked about medications where I'm at now. I'm still on Plaquenil and meloxicam, and then every once in a while I use prednisone when I have a really, really bad day, but I think that's only maybe 2 to 3 times a year. So I'm very fortunate in that. I'm very fortunate that I've responded to the Plaquenil and meloxicam. I've been on those since November of 2011. So quite a while now. If I go to the next level, I would probably be looking at biologics or methotrexate. So I'm not really looking forward to those days, but as we all know, that's probably inevitable that they'll come at some point. So the good news I feel about rheumatoid arthritis is that it's really received a lot of attention in the last 20, 30 years, and that's helped us get to a point where now all of these newer medications are emerging on the market that can really help with this disease, where before we really didn't have all of those options. We really didn't have all of the different levels of treatment and the options that we can. And I realize that there are still some people out there that exhaust all of those treatment options and nothing really seems to work for them. And I just pray for those people every day, because that would just be that would be such a heavy thing to deal with for sure. But that's where I'm at now. Plaquenil, meloxicam. If I move to something in the next level, it would probably be a low dose chemo or a biologic, just kind of depending, of course, on my physician's recommendation for my treatment. I've also been asked what triggers my RA. So for me, I know that alcohol, drinking, triggers my RA. If I have a few drinks, I do feel it the next day. It's not something, I haven't stopped having a drink here and there, but I used to have a glass of wine, at least one, probably 1 or 2 glasses of wine every night with dinner when I would get home from work, and that's just not a quantity that I can really hold up to any longer, just because I feel that the next day. The weather changing, I know it's not scientifically proven, but I certainly notice a difference when the barometer changes outside. We're changing from a warm day to a cold day or a cool day. I definitely do feel some of that. And interestingly enough, I've been thinking a lot lately that when I go to a place that has more humidity, that seems to trigger me a little bit more. I know that helps some people and that's wonderful, but I think for me, living in a drier climate has definitely been more helpful. I was trying to think if there was anything else. Obviously, if I overexert myself, if I've moved, or if I exercise too hard or something like that, or, did the wrong kind of exercise for the day. For example, those kinds of things will make me really sore. And then I guess I would say anything kind of fine that needs fine attention. So if I'm working on stained glass, or if I'm sewing, anything that kind of needs that very close dexterity to be able to complete that, that will make my fingers and my hands sore for the next day or two. So those are some of my triggers. And as far as avoidances, I do avoid alcohol more than I did before. I also don't do a lot of those activities with that fine dexterity. I only sew when I have to, or if I can sew by machine. I actually don't scrapbook much anymore because a lot of the scissor cutting and those kinds of things, that is, constant repetition, and then my hands will get sore from that. I also don't run any longer, like I said, because it's something that just I can't recover. I enjoy it, but I'm sore almost immediately when I'm done, and for 2 to 5 days after. So it's just not something that I can do. And then I was also asked, a nice young lady asked me about her father. I believe her father got diagnosed, if I had any advice for him. And I think if you're just newly diagnosed, my biggest piece of advice for you is to read as much as you possibly can, find as many resources as you possibly can, know that no one's disease is going to be the exact same. Mine may be under control right now, but it may flare up and I may have to do something completely different tomorrow. And me being on Plaquenil and meloxicam, I may go to another medication where you may go to a completely different one. So just know that nobody's disease is exactly the same, and that's one of the tricky things about treating RA, I believe. So just know that, and then start to pay attention to those triggers. Work on your diet and take something out. Take out coffee, take out soda and sugar, take out acidic foods. As long as you're still meeting all of your nutritional requirements as set forth by your physician, I think it's a good idea to examine your diet and your intake and just see what you're putting into your body that perhaps can be increasing your side effects or really creating a challenge for your RA to get better. The other thing that I can recommend is figure out if cold or hot, like ice packs or heating pad. Those are your two choices. Figure it out and go with it. Because when you're first diagnosed, you're gonna have those days where you just have to have that soothing help. And for some people, it's ice pack. For some people, it's heating pad. Myself, I'm heating pad. That helps me. Sometimes I wrap my hands up in it when they're really sore. And that just helps alleviate that. I think the other important thing to find is pain control that works for you. I'm not advocating that you take it all the time. I only take Advil. Advil is what works best for me. I only take it when I'm probably really hurting. I try not to take it at all. I don't like to take extra medications. I don't even like the fact that I take something every day for my RA. So work with your physician to find any kind of over-the-counter pain reliever that you can get to help you get through what you need to get through in a day. My other advice would be to be speaking towards what I had said before. You know, slow down, adapt your lifestyle, stop and smell the roses, take that break, go for a walk, but sit on that park bench that's halfway in between and let your body kind of recover. Just be kinder to yourself, be kinder to your body, be kinder to your mind. I was angry with my body for a long time for doing this to me. I think it's important for you to work together. And in my particular case, I feel like this has given me a little bit of a gift. It's given me a gift to really see what matters in life, what doesn't. I still get caught up in some things sometimes, but I really try to take myself back to that place where it just, not all of it really matters. So just be kind to yourself, be kind to your support system, and rely on them for some things, but not for everything. Like, spread the wealth. If you have somebody that helps you with your daily things, if your husband or wife or brother or sister, whoever helps you out, making meals and that kind of stuff, don't also ask that person to be your counselor. You know, they want to be there for us, but we have to understand that we can overwhelm them as well. So spread that wealth, spread that love. Anyway, thank you guys for sitting with me. If you have any other additional questions, please list them down below in the comments, and I'll try to respond to them. Or if you see somebody else commenting or asking a question that you feel like you have figured out or that you're currently even struggling with, maybe the two of you can connect as well. So reach out to each other, and I will see you guys in the next video. Bye.